Thank you. Just a real quick point on that. A lot of the budget reconciliation bill and One Big Beautiful Bill does a lot for this. It's a jumpstart, Navy, commercial. But on the workforce side, one of the really understated provisions here that hasn't gotten a lot of attention, the Pell Grants funding, which is a lot of federal money, now is able to go to certificate programs for registered apprenticeships and 529 programs to go to these registered apprenticeship programs for training, just that you're talking about, Mr. Paxson. I just want people to know that. It's a really good part of the program. Senator Curtis.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to begin by giving a shout out to my colleagues, Senator Kelly and Senator Young, for their work on this, for their leadership, and I look to them as important leaders on this, so thanks for their work. Dr. Micagliano, if there was a theme for this hearing, it would be, where did we go wrong? That seems to summarize all my colleagues' questions. That was also my question. I won't bore down too much into that, but I'd like to specifically look at China, the last 20 years. Yes, we know of subsidies. We know the way the Chinese government works. Are there other things that we should be learning from the Chinese, innovations, and what else should we learn from this? And then kind of a follow-up to that question is, what could go wrong with China dominating? You talked a little bit about that, but I'd like you to bore down that a little bit more, the problem with China being so dominant.
Thank you, Senator Kurtz. China's dominance has been absolutely fascinating to watch. Again, won't quote the statistic again, but what's been interesting is how China has gone from small little shipyards to consolidating their shipyards into much larger entities. They took very disparate shipyard capability and have built it up into these huge conglomerates. Consolidation is the issue we see in shipping in almost all areas. And it's that vertical integration that I think is really the most disturbing that you see in them. Obviously, China has the ability to, low labor, a lot of money that's freely available to them, not a lot of overhead. We talk about the subsidies, the direct and indirect subsidies. From 2010 to 2018, they received about $132 billion in subsidies. Our Title 11 grants during that same period was $77 million. So, I mean, it is just proportionally different. But they control other aspects. I mean, they're building almost every container in the world and leasing them out. They're building the trailers that they carry on. We see Chinese mariners become much more dominant. The Chinese merchant ships are built with military capability in them. One of the things that we need to understand, the more military capable you build a commercial ship, the less commercially viable it tends to be. But the Chinese can do that because they don't have to worry about the net profit in the end. So Chinese Overseas Shipping Company can have commercial ships, roll-on, roll-off ships that can carry military capability. In many ways, to go back to what Senator Young was talking about, China has swallowed Alfred Thayer Mahan and really understand it in a way that other countries have not. And so they have embraced that. The other issue, too, is that China, Japan, and Korea are in a three-way war out there in shipbuilding. If you look over the past 3 years, China's share of shipbuilding has increased by 16%. That is the exact amount that Japan and Korea have lost. It's one of the reasons why you're seeing Japan and Korea so interested in investing in the U.S. And one of my concerns about the Ships for America Act is we don't become a Ships for Korea Act. We need to make sure that we focus it here in the United States. So it is a very coherent program put out by the Chinese.
Thank you. It's very insightful and enlightening. I saw a lot of heads shaking up and down as you were speaking. Let me go to the UK for a minute, because UK is a close ally. A lot of policies would be similar. While we've declined, they haven't. What can we learn from the UK?
Well, UK has gone through their peaks and troughs, too, I would mention. They've had issues with their shipbuilding. I would argue that if you look at a lot of European shipyards, if I can expand out just a little bit, sure. One of the things that we saw was specialization in shipyards. So if you go to the Dutch, for example, they're building small craft, they're dealing dredges, very specialized. Germany, realized that they can't do quite the shipbuilding they do, but they produce propellers and diesel engines, much more specialized. The Italians, Fincantieri building cruise ships, Finland building icebreakers. So the realization that specialization came in. I do get concerned if we try to get into a shipbuilding, competition against China, they're going to outcompete us all the time. If you look at where China is building today, they are number one in all categories of ships, except for cruise ships and liquefied natural gas carriers, but they're growing in that. I think we need to really focus and target in certain areas where we need to fill our strategic commercial fleet.
Thank you. Thanks to all the witnesses. I yield my time.